Do you ever wonder why you're doing what you do in life? Do you wish that you could be really happy and passionate about what you do? Or maybe you already are and you want to expand in a different direction. Hi, I'm Barbara Ann, host of What the Why? I love what I do. A lot of that has to do with my story, my journey to this point in life. And guess what? Everybody has a story. So please join me for conversations with leaders from all walks of life about what they do, and more importantly, why they do it, how they found their core purpose, their passion, their mission in life. And if you're looking for your own, maybe you'll get some great suggestions on how you too can find your why.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of What the Why with Barbara Ann. If you haven't seen us before, our show features conversations with diverse leaders from all walks of life about why they do what they do and how they figured out that this is their purpose. Are you sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, or do you want to get unstuck from feeling stuck in either your job, your career, your personal life, whatever the case may be, your company? All of our guests have something in common with you. At some point, pretty much all of them felt similarly in some way, shape, or form and decided to do something about it. And today's guest is no exception whatsoever. And she's not a stranger to me. You've all benefited from me working with her for the last couple of years. Phyllis Rosen. She's amazing. In addition to being my positive intelligence accountability coach, so we've been on a journey together for a couple of years now, which is kind of hard to believe. Phyllis is so many, many, many things. Her previous careers before she became a coach included being a corporate vice president on Wall Street, where she was responsible for training high-performing financial advisors and coaching branch managers. She also served as a director charged with launching a successful skills training and job search program for large nonprofit organizations. She's received coaching training and isn't certified. She's gone through CTI, which is Coach Training Institute, which a lot of the people out there, you've heard that name before from other coaches. She's a member of and has served on the board of directors of the International Coaching Federation, hence the PCC or Professional Certified Coach. And she's been very active in the board of directors at the New York City chapter level. She specializes primarily, I believe, in a term she's going to talk more about, which is retirement management and other very, very important things that you need to take care of as you navigate the transitions from one company to the next or career to company, as many of us over the age of 50 are often known as encore entrepreneurs and beyond that. But really, her biggest specialty is coaching professionals through all kinds of transitions in their careers to find the possibilities in a challenging job market. And she does a lot of work with executives to clarify and reduce or refocus their direction and become better, more authentic leaders. Like I said, I've had the pleasure of knowing her for the past couple of years and having very, very important conversations that have been integral to my own career advancement and development. So, live from New York City, without further ado, please join in welcoming my personal accountability coach and coach extraordinaire, Phyllis Rosen. So, yay! Welcome, 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 welcome.
Thank you, Barbara. And that was just a lovely introduction.
For a
Yeah.
lovely person.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you. Yeah.
so welcome to What the Why. For those who don't know Phyllis, because some of you watching do, those of you who are in the positive intelligence community or have participated in classes that Purpose Filled has offered, and Phyllis has actually helped co-facilitate in terms of doing breakout rooms for things and things like that with us. Um, it's been a long journey. And while your coaching and your leadership expertise are extraordinary, there was a little person once upon a time who may not have envisioned that this would be your journey. So, as we ask every guest on What the Why, What did little Phyllis want to be when she was growing up?
Such an interesting question. I asked that of all of my coaches as well. And the really interesting thing is I had no idea, none whatsoever. I did not know what I wanted to do, wanted to be. I did not grow up in a family that that had conversations around that.
Mhm.
And as a result, I never got clear on what it was. At one point, probably the clearest I ever got was when I was when I graduated from high school. I thought I wanted to teach French, and I loved French. And then I went to college, and they decided that they were going to give me 8 a.m. French classes. And within 6 months, that did it for me with French. And I realized that French was not going to be what I was going to major in. Um, and then after that, I had no idea. Then I went into, oh wait, no, actually after that, I went to cultural anthropology. Now, what do you do with a degree in cultural anthropology? It's not the most, it's not the most tangible kind of um, an area to specialize in. So I never really figured it out. But shall I tell you how I did figure it out?
Absolutely. Let's keep going with the how did you get to where you are?
Exactly. Um, I was, since I didn't know what I wanted to do, when I graduated college, all I knew that was that I wanted to go to work. I didn't want to um, I don't want to continue in school any longer. I wanted to go out in the world and work. And so I got lots of different kinds of jobs. And none of those jobs really felt like the thing for me. And my I finally got into onto Wall Street, and I was working in Wall Street for about 17 years. And it was a very, very strange time on Wall Street. Um, it was a time actually when they were being sued by women to bring women into middle management positions. And I just happened to have gotten there at the right moment, at the right time, and I got a job on Wall Street. And so I stayed on Wall Street for a long time. But the truth is, Wall Street and I were never a good personality fit. So here I was again, doing something that did not feel like particularly special to me. And I was good at it. I was making a lot of good money. Of course, that's what you do on Wall Street. That's why most people go onto Wall Street. Um, but it wasn't touching my heart. And
Mhm.
that's what I wanted. I wanted to be working at something that did not, that really made me feel like I was making a difference in the world. So at one point, another interesting story. I had been married for about 4 years at this point, and I got laid off of my job at Wall Street because the company I was working for um, merged with another. Actually, they bought out another company and they made a contract with personnel from that other company that they would be guaranteed jobs. It was something like The Mouse That Roared, if you remember that movie. Um, and so I got laid off because there were other people who had my job in this other company, and so they were being brought on to do my job. And at the time, my job was training. I was training senior brokers,
Mm.
the top level brokers, to become even better brokers. And once they brought them on, then I was extraneous. I was doing double duty here. And so they laid me off. And I was about to divorced my husband. So this was a moment of my life that I moved out of the home I was living with my husband and ended up in another apartment, having no job, having no longer being with somebody. And it was like, as of that day, everything in my life had changed. And I
Wow.
remember very clearly sitting on the floor in my new apartment and thinking about who was I now and what was important to me now and what was it that I really wanted to do now. And I came to understand that I wanted to do something that made a difference, as I had mentioned before. But that's when I finally came to understand that. And I walked into a a bookstore, and a book fell off of the shelf into my hands, and it was called Creating Abundance. And I thought that that was a sign of something. And I couldn't just walk by and let that go. So I bought the book. I came home and I read the book from cover to cover. And it was a book that had chapters on abundance. And at the end of every chapter were questions, were exercises that I had to do. So I did them, of course. And by the end of the book, I realized that what I wanted to do was to help people to figure out what they wanted to do. I realized that that was the position that I was in right now. I would have loved to have gone into become a therapist or something like that. But I didn't want to go back to school and go back to doing all of those courses. So I thought of, well, what else can I do that will make a difference in helping people to figure out what it is that they want to do? And I thought, well, I'm going to do what I'm involved in right now. And at that moment, I was also going to outplacement because I had gotten outplacement from the company that had laid me off. But I wasn't really able to participate because you had to know what you wanted to do.
Mm.
So I got clear on what I wanted to do was to help people. And I also then got clear that I wanted to help them with their careers. So I called up the outplacement firm that I was with the next day and I said, okay, I finally figured out what it is that I want to do. And they said to me, great. We were just waiting for you to come to that realization. We have an office for you. Come in tomorrow and we will start training you.
Wow.
Yes, yes,
So they saw in you what you were still navigating.
that's right. But I had not yet been able to get clarity on in my
Wow.
own mind and put words to it. So I went in the next day. They started training me in outplacement consulting at the time. And from there, I went into career consulting. And then I got really tired of career consulting because that was really about the job search.
Mm-hmm.
And as important as that is, that's not the most important thing to me. I wanted to help people to understand what it was that they wanted to do, not to help them find it, not to go through the logistics of how to get a job search, how to do a job search rather, and a resume and that part of the phase of the cycles. And so I then started looking around for what else I could do, and I came across coaching. And at this time, coaching was it was still in its beginning phases.
Mm-hmm.
And I did my research on different coaching schools, And I went and I decided on one particular school, and I went and for the fundamental weekend, it was just like to see if it was something that I really liked, and it hit all of my boxes. It just was exactly it. I realized it was my calling.
Wow. Wow. And
So
that coaching school was CTI,
CTI,
Coach Training
exactly,
Institute,
exactly.
which so many, actually very some famous within the coaching realm and even beyond,
Yeah,
have actually been associated with that school, including the founder of the Positive Intelligence program
that's right.
that we do, and
That's right.
actually, and the founder of what would become CTI, who left the International Coach Federation, Coaching Federation now, then Coach Federation, to help him grow positive intelligence.
That's right.
So there's a
That's right.
so
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of history there. Um, Now you work for this firm and you're doing this work. And this is a pivot. This is a significant pivot. And
You mean to coaching or to career counseling?
not so much the career counseling because you were doing that in a different way, but the actual coaching piece in the environment where you were, as opposed
Yeah.
to there's a big difference between working with somebody who's going through a transition and a stockbroker, although they could go through a transition at any given time based on their sales production. But how did you, let me reframe that. What kind of mindset shifts did you make to help you become so effective in working with people who are going through a transition? Because that can be a very difficult thing to do.
It is a very difficult thing to do, and it's a very frightening thing to do.
Yeah.
Um, and the question was, how did I?
How did you find, I guess, for lack of better words, how did you make the transition from the one type of engagement with people to this other type of engagement, meeting them where they are at some of their most vulnerable and fearful in some instances?
When I was doing career counseling and outplacement counseling, my interest has always been in what makes people tick, what motivates people. As a matter of fact, um, cultural anthropology, as I had mentioned before, ended up being my major
Mm,
in college. And it's exactly the same thing. There is a thread now. I mean, I've seen it once I finally figured out, got the clarity on what I wanted to do. That was a thread that ran through my life.
mhm,
And that was as an anthropologist, studying tribes, groups of people, whether they be um, tribes or just groups of people, and understanding how they got those rituals, how they got those customs, how they developed that culture, and what was important about all of those things to them, and
mm,
how it sustained itself over many, many, many years. So I've always been interested in that part of a person and what is important to them, why is it important, and how do they how do they manifest that in their life so that they are really engaged in their life. And so that being what I was able to recognize, and that I was much more interested in talking to coaching with people more on that part than I was. So what company do you want to work for? And how are you going to find that company? Which is a very, very important part of doing doing career counseling, career management, career coaching. You see, what I do, I specialize, first of all, and I know that you will agree with me on coaching is coaching is coaching. When
Yes.
you're a coach, you can coach anyone on whatever they find to be important.
Yes.
You don't
Yes.
have to know. You don't have to know the in and outs of
Right.
that. Um, and so I was what the areas of because of where I was in my life at that moment, I was in the midst of my career. That was important for me to make that my career successful. And I was interested by careers. And I was interested why people, as you are, got involved in their career. And what was it about that? And how did they come to that particular um, aspect of the industry or of the career? And why didn't they go into something else? Like, why didn't I go into becoming a therapist versus going into becoming a career counselor? You know, those are the things that really interest me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I realized that what I wanted to do was to really pursue how help people to explore that part of themselves. And to do that, I needed to, can you hang on 1 second?
Okay, we're gonna pause, gang. So just
Okay.
pause for 1 second. I'll actually even pause the recording.
Yeah, I just
So,
got lost where I
nope,
was.
that's okay.
Why
So,
am I
uh,
pivot? How,
okay, so we're gonna we know that we left off. We were talking about the thread of anthropology, coaching others, things like that. And so what they'll do is they'll go in and team, we'll go in and you'll edit it, and we're gonna roughly kind of pick up. You can always double check with me if you're not sure, so that it's seamless, but you all are good at what you do. So bottom line is. I'll do it. So I'll interject and I'll say, so Phyllis, what I'm hearing you say is we actually are very similar. Right? I figured out over a decade ago that when I was asked to describe in 2 words what I do, um, it was my purpose, or my purpose is solutions navigator in 2 words. I found my purpose in helping other people find theirs. And so I'm hearing that the anthropology to the training to the transitional coaching, all these things are kind of an interconnected thread, if not tapestry, of a life's work of helping people navigate what they want to do in their life and careers. So, am I hearing that correctly?
yes. Now
Okay.
let me, so what I came to realize, thank you for helping me to make that connection again. So what I came to realize that is what I really wanted to do is I want to help people to understand
Mm,
who they really are inside
yeah.
and what's important to them, and to be able to recognize and get clear on the type of work that they could do in which they can thrive and in which they can feel really fulfilled.
Wow.
So rather than a lot of people, when you say, what do they do? When you ask them what they do, oh, I do this. Do you like it? No, but it's a job. It pays the rent. That I came to understand that's not enough.
Yeah.
And I wanted to change the world about that. And as a matter of fact, Gallup has every year they do this engagement poll on not only the US but the whole world. And this year, which has been very similar to most other years, that they have discovered that 68% of of US employees are
Hmm.
disengaged with their work.
Yep. Yep.
That's hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is killing their soul to be
Absolutely.
spending so much of your day, so much of your life doing something you're disengaged with.
Yeah.
So that became to me my calling. And it felt absolutely right because it helped me to find my calling and make such a difference to me and change my whole spirit. Once I realized what my calling was and started doing it, and how important it is to be doing something that gives you satisfaction. Um, and so that is how I got into this and made that pivot. Now, what I'm actually doing is I decided to stay in the career space. But if you see, the things that I specialize in are career management, leadership development, and retirement life planning.
Mhm.
I work with the professional person's life
Yeah.
and in the different phases of that life. So that became very natural to me. And what I do, what I focus with my clients on is where they are in that phase and who they are and what they need during that phase, and to help them to become more clear about it and to become more intentional about finding work and people and community and culture that fits who they really are. So that because when work between Monday and Friday is just about 9 to 5 and doing what you're supposed to do, work is a slog.
Yeah, it is.
And I believe that because of my own experience, that that's not enough.
Yep.
And people who work with me also are looking for something that is more than their work just being a slog or just being a paycheck. And I don't mean to demean the fact
Mhm.
that work is a paycheck. You do need to be paid. Otherwise, you might love something, but if you can't afford to live, then that's a very, very painful type of existence.
Agreed. I mean, like for there is a group of people, the paycheck is a means to an end. That's it.
Right?
But
Right.
for most people, what I'm hearing you say, and definitely what I've found in the coaching that I've done, is people want to feel like they're making a difference, or that they're contributing to something greater,
That's right.
or that they're doing a good job. Look, for the most part, people don't go to work wanting to do a bad job.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
you're dealing with a group, especially those who are in transition, who've given their all. And now, for whatever reason, they're being let go.
They're being
And
let go or they're not a good fit.
right. And now, as more interestingly, I had a coaching session with someone today all about AI implementation in a very, very, very large company today. And the amount of time that he's spending with team members just coming into his office in a state of panic
Hmm.
over the skill sets they don't have to move this initiative forward.
Right.
And I know one of the things that you've done, and I borrowed from conversations that I've learned from you, one of the things we talked about is imagine what they could be doing with that 2 and 3 hours that they're taking up of your time, micro learning other things to pursue their real passions. I have
Mm.
a client who has been with the same company for 20 years. He's so incredibly talented. And when we had that, I don't remember if I got this question from you or not. The question came up, if you could do anything in the world that you wanted to do and money was no object, what would it be? He came back with photography. And then it transitioned to this whole other conversation where he's actually started a photography business. That's what he really wants to do when he moves on from his current role. I was like, okay, how have we not gotten here in 3 months? And I know how we didn't get there. He wasn't comfortable bringing it up because of the nature of that particular contract. And finally, because trust is such a huge part of this, right? So he finally had the trust to say, you keep saying we can talk about anything here without
Right.
judgment, and that your responsibility is to me, not the person paying for it, right? I'm like, yes. He's like, I really do want to do a photography business. And I was like, okay, let's talk about that. Because the best time to start a business is when you actually have an other stream of income.
Right.
And so I know you see that. And actually, one of my questions for you is because you went out on your own. I know you have contract work that you do and things like that, but a lot of people, especially as, and I made a reference earlier on, an encore entrepreneur is anyone who starts their own business after the age of 55. Well, guess what? There's a whole lot of us out there who've
Mhm.
done that. And it takes a lot of courage. And so when you, whether it's with yourself or somebody that you're helping go through that process, how do you encourage people to find the strength to finally admit that the fear of staying the same is going to eventually become stronger than the fear of change?
I start having them talk about it. Whatever that passion button behind everything else is, just start talking about it. And how does it make you feel? And what if you just started doing some of that activity now? You don't have to say that you're giving up your job. It's just what you said. You don't have to commit to crossing that line yet. Just start bringing that activity into your life.
Mhm.
And how does that change your life? And how do you feel when you are doing it?
Mhm.
And I always sort of use the phrase, what would you love to do? What do you love to do that when you are doing it, you lose all sense of time?
Mm.
And that is something that for which you become fully present. And when you are fully present, you know you are doing something passionate. Like I'm sure that Barbara Ann, when you are coaching with your clients, that even though there's a clock somewhere, and for very practical reasons, you do need to be watching it, but that's not top of mind
Yeah.
and may very well be going over with during some of your sessions as well. You just lose yourself with that person, and that becomes your guiding light.
Mhm. It's
And
in,
then how might you be able to start integrating this more and more into your life? Maybe as a hobby, maybe as a volunteer, maybe as a side thing that you start doing project work on
Mhm. Oh,
until
it's so much,
you make a
so
decision.
yeah, so many good suggestions there. And the big one, it's interesting. I do that too. How will it feel when you get to the other side of this?
Right.
How will it feel when you've accomplished this? And then, of course, shout out to Shirzad Shamin, Jeff Skaggs, the entire positive intelligence community. The ever famous question: how would the elder, wiser self, what would that person say to who you are now, looking back
Right.
on the journey you took? And so that will be my final question for you, Phyllis. What would you, the definitely wiser, certainly not older, but definitely wiser self, say to that person who was really unhappy, not unhappy, but not as fulfilled? Not that it's been an easy road. Entrepreneurship is not an easy road to travel, folks. We don't want to sugarcoat it.
Right.
Um, but it's something you do because you're passionate about it, that you can love it even when you don't like it. But my question to you is, what would the wiser Phyllis say to that person who, was making a really great job as a VP, doing training on Wall Street, but,
Making a lot of money.
made a lot of money?
I was able to, it was interesting because I was actually given the I was handed the opportunity to make a hard decision about it when I was laid off of my Wall Street job, I of course went out looking at other Wall Street jobs because that's what how you're brought up, that's what you do. And I did a lot of interviewing, and I was offered a really, really big job at the New York Stock Exchange. And it would have been given, it would have given me the money, it would have given me the esteem, it would have given me a lot of things that I thought that I wanted. And when I was actually offered the job, I had already begun my own research about going out on my own and becoming a coach.
Mm.
And when I was actually offered the job so that I had to make a choice, I realized there was no choice. I had to go with my heart. And yes, I felt more enriched by going that route and just loving what I was doing every single day and making a difference every single day than I had felt when I was working on Wall Street with all that money. So I never regretted it. I never doubted it. Once I actually was forced into making a choice.
Which is and it's so interesting because that is the perfect note to end on. Because I keep thinking about how that book, talk about divinely inspired. I mean, we're both very spiritual in different ways,
Oh,
but similar ways. And for a book like that to just fall off, we say when sometimes when God closes the door, he opens a window, or she, for those who feel similarly about the potential gender of God. But in any case, the book flew at you. It literally flew into your hands. What more of a divinely inspired directional sign can you possibly get?
exactly.
Other than losing your
Exactly.
job, and then the book literally drops into your hands. So for those who would like to reach out to you, and there, for those who aren't yet, the reality is we are going to see a lot of transition in the next couple of years, both because the boomers and the Gen Xers are moving on from their roles into other opportunities and life phases, and then just the way that technology is. And so there's a lot of people out there that are potentially going to want to talk to someone like you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so your website and your LinkedIn will be in our comment section beneath the video or audio, whatever platform you're listening to us or watching us on. What is the best way for people to reach you?
Probably through my website, which is um, coaching for transition, numeral four, coachingfortransition.com. And and then to send me an email would be Phyllis, Phyllis, at coachingfortransition.com, because that will follow me wherever I go.
Awesome.
That you send it there and they'll send it off to me.
Okay. And also, if you want to check it out, her LinkedIn, there's links to different articles that Phyllis has written over time. I know we all have, you can check her credentials on the International Coaching Federation site. We all have that stuff too. So, um, there's plenty of ways to find her, and you can also find us through us as any of our past guests. So, Phil, thank you. I've been looking forward to doing this since it was a television show, and now it's even better as a podcast. And so excited to have gotten to have this type of engagement with you. Um, we actually have only gotten to meet each other once in person. Our entire relationship has been remote, but it was really cool um, getting to go up to where Phyllis is from where I am and actually meet in person and give each other a hug and hopefully be able to do that again soon.
We are
And
Zoom partners.
we are Zoom partners for life,
Yeah,
literally
right.
for. So,
Numeral four.
yes,
And by the
four,
way,
the number four,
if
four.
you can't find me, just go onto LinkedIn. It has my contact information all there. as
Awesome.
well.
So thank you for investing your time and energy in sharing your experience with our audience today. And for all of you who are listening and or watching, thank you for doing so. There's so many choices out there competing for your attention, and it's not lost on us that you took the time to invest with us, and we really genuinely appreciate it. And if there's anything that you've heard or seen in our podcast, we do ask that you please share it with others so that they can benefit from the ways that you feel you benefited. And for all who are watching or listening also, please tune in again for more illuminating and fascinating conversations with guests such as Phyllis and all of our amazing guests who navigated some really interesting pivots throughout their life to truly figure out that their purpose was helping other people identify and navigate their purpose. And in Phyllis' case, that's what she did. She figured out her purpose and she decided to live it.